everyone, and welcome back for a little bit of a delayed strong style. I am here with the ever fashionable Joel Pearl. Joel, how are you today?
Got my black V-neck on, and I'm ready to talk about style with the one and only Cher Delaware. I apologize. I will tell everyone now that part of the reason, or most of the reason, why we're so behind on this is my fault. Between doing dad stuff and also starting a show on Fightful Overbooked on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday mornings does tend to take a lot out of you. So we're here. We're definitely going to get into some fashion, and I'm looking forward to this, as always.
To be fair, it wasn't just Joel's fault. I came back on Monday, and that was my kid's spring break. So I didn't even consider recording it that week. And it took me like 10 days to even watch back everything, because being in the stadium, I couldn't see a lot of the gears as well, of course. So I did watch back everything to, check. And then I sent the pictures over to Joel. So we actually don't have a ton of people to talk about, which was kind of surprising. I didn't think that Mania produced as many iconic looks this year as we often get, but we do have some, and we have more men than usual this time.
Yeah, when I saw your photos, I was surprised by some of them, happily so. But like you said, there weren't as many people, styling and going crazy. There are a few omissions here that I think people are gonna, ask about, and that's fine. We'll talk about some of them, but overall, WrestleMania is usually the time when everyone kind of resets their gear and resets everything. However, I think maybe the toy lines are starting to move their dates. So as a result, some of the gear doesn't get pushed out until closer to the toys coming out.
Yes.
Or the video games.
Yeah, and I will absolutely be curious to hear who you think I omitted from this as well. But, first, we just talked about this before we went live here. The only person from the Hall of Fame that we will be talking about is Carmella.
Yeah.
And there were some beautiful dresses. I did really love the look of Mia Yim and her sister. That I loved that they went together so well and everything. They looked great. But people looked nice, but I wasn't just going to be like, oh, this beautiful dress. Oh, this beautiful dress. Like, I'm not Joan Rivers. I'm not going through every single person and giving them a thumbs up or a thumbs down or whatever. Carmella looked amazing. The dress was different. It was beautiful. She's one of the only people that I think could pull that dress off as flawlessly as she did. I love that she has the darker hair again, because it's more of her natural hair color, and I think it suits her really well. She is tan naturally, so having the blonde hair with the tan, like, she always just looked very, very tan with her hair so blonde. Graves matched her really well, which I'm sure that she told him what to wear, because he goes...
Graves is like, baby, I'm wearing all black. That's all.
Yeah.
And she's like, I got it. It's fine.
He goes a little crazy with suit jackets sometimes, but he toned it down so that she could be the focus on that. And she looked amazing. And for anyone that has never met Carmella in person, she's a very petite woman. I always assumed she was more like my height, but she's short, and short compared to me, I guess I should say. That's relative, and she's just very petite. She's very tiny. She's got a tiny frame, and she looked great. She just looked fantastic in that dress. As soon as I saw it, well, first off, everybody was tagging me because they knew that I would love it. And then as soon as I saw it, it was like, I need this dress. This dress is gorgeous. She didn't do too much like jewelry or anything like that to take away from it. And I just thought that she looked amazing. So it was what it was.
Yeah, she looked great. Just the earrings, and that was enough. No necklace. Everything. The other jewelry is covering up some things on her instead. And that's great. Listen, she looked fabulous. The dress really did stand out. The theme of the night, for at least for the women, seemed to be as much leg as possible. And listen, I'm not going to complain because, everyone in wrestling is beautiful. Everyone front facing and on the roster, they're beautiful people. So I'm not going to complain if they want to show off and, be proud of what they have and what they've built on their bodies. So this was one example of wearing the right outfit for your size and for your figure. She did a great job. Even the shoulder pads came back for this. I know that's been coming back in women's fashion more and more.
Mm-hmm.
Look good. And you were talking about Joan Rivers, that's a very 80s thing, the shoulder pads. Listen, she made it look good. She made it look
She did. She really did. Like I said, everybody looked very nice. At the hotel afterwards, I saw Raquel. She was still in her dress. Like, everyone else changed. She was still in her dress downstairs because her and Braun were trying to get food. And she looked beautiful. I mean, and she's very nice too, but she looked beautiful. Braun decided to walk around the hotel in his suit with slides on, bare feet. So everybody was just, that was a look. But
I'm surprised he wasn't wearing his best Crocs.
I mean, I was too, to be honest, but I guess they probably clashed too much with the suit. But from moving on from there, we'll start with WrestleMania. Now, we're not going to go night by night, because even though I was there, I don't remember what night things were on.
Before we get there, so I want to bring up the first omission, because this is Hall of Fame based, and that is Io Sky, who had a very traditional style Japanese.
She did. She looked beautiful.
Yeah, she looked beautiful. And I thought that one stood out compared to most other women who were at the event.
Yes.
I want to shout that out because, everyone, as good as they looked, I thought that Io Sky had a very beautiful dress, and it complemented her figure very well as well.
She did. She went for the more traditional for her culture and everything. The only reason I did not mention that one is because I don't know much about that style and the way that it's to be worn and things like that. So that was the only reason I didn't, because I wouldn't want to speak on that without the proper knowledge. But she absolutely looked gorgeous. Yes.
If someone in the comments happens to know a lot more than we do and wants to chime in, go ahead, drop a comment here, because she looked great, and we'd love to always hear more about the fashion from other parts of the world. Let's talk about Mania. First of all, you mentioned that you didn't get to see a lot of it just because of the nature of your seats. Whereabouts were you sitting, just for reference?
So night one, I had a floor seat, and I kind of went down to it for a little bit, and then I was sitting up in the 200 section with our friend Jiminica. So we went to night one together. So we mostly watched everything on the screen because we had a really good view of the screen. And this year there weren't poles around everything. Everything was floating. So there was no, blocking of views or anything like that. But I'm not super tall. So I was on like the second section on the floor is where they put me. And I knew I wasn't going to be able to see anything. So I kind of went back and forth. I went down there to get some good pictures, and then, came back up. But then night two, they had us, we were in the first section off of the floor. I was about 3 rows back, and the ring was to my right. So I had pretty good view of night two, and we'll start with someone that I do know was on night two, because I remember when he gashed his head open with Finn Balor and Demon Finn. Anybody that has followed me for a while knows I'm a fan of Finn Balor. I love Demon Finn. I think that the demon is such a cool, unique thing. And I love that he really transforms into the demon when he does it. Like just the way that he moves and everything. He changes everything up. He looked fantastic. That was the first time we'd seen the demon. We're not even going to talk about the last time we'd seen the demon before that. He looked great. He looked great. He came out, just the paint, and he looked fantastic. And they have a new shirt out now with the demon, and it's Finn something stitches, however many stitches he got.
Finn 14 staples.
Finn 14
I
staples.
love
And
it.
on the back, it has the demon, and it has staples in the demon's head on the
Oh,
back.
it's so cool.
So for those that maybe didn't know, Finn got his head cut open bad in the middle of the match. And on the ladder, so they were kind of trying to focus on Edge. They were literally stapling Finn's head in the middle of the ring. They were cleaning him up and stapling him so that he could finish the match.
That's bonkers. Like, if you're watching it on TV, you see crane shots, you see shots of Edge. He's just pacing around the ring. He's trying to take as much away from what's going on over there as he could. And like, bless the guy. He knows how to do this. He's a professional. But like, Finn is absolutely getting looked over by that match team. Yeah, I mean, bonkers.
He wanted to continue the match, and we know that that's Finn. He, did the whole arm thing, shoulder thing that one year at SummerSlam. But yeah, I mean, he was literally getting his head stapled in the middle of the ring and continued and finished that match. So, and he looked great still. And that's what I thought was so funny. You couldn't even really tell other than the blood on the mat because he has the red paint all over him and everything. So you couldn't even, and he's got dark hair, but good. He looked great. And I think that was the perfect time to bring back the demon Finn and everything. I don't know that it necessarily fit with his character now, but he got to do it at Mania, and that was cool.
And also, he's with Judgment Day. Their colors are purple. He got to incorporate the new color scheme into his demon look, and I really liked that. And the big helmet with the spikes, he's had that before, but it just looked extra cool. What do you think of the entrance? Because the photo that we have here is him with the twirly baton smoker things that he looks like he's going to Burning Man. What do you think about that for the entrance?
I thought his entrance was really cool. In the stadium, everyone was very excited to do the hands up thing again because it's been so long. I thought it was really cool. I actually liked his entrance more than I liked Edge's because I think that the let's do part of one entrance and move it into the other entrance thing is getting played out. They've done it many times now. Oh, I'm in the Brood. Oh, I'm not in the Brood. So it's just kind of, they've done it too many times for me. It's not interesting to me anymore, which we were at SummerSlam when they did it the first time, and it was very cool. And I mean, it's cool, but it's when they switch over to the other one, it's kind of like, okay. But yeah, I thought Finn's was very, very cool. I liked that he was out there by himself. I mean, it was obviously a cage match, so they weren't going to be able to help him, but that's kind of been the Judgment Day's thing is somebody shows up, so I thought he looked fantastic though. And like you said, they incorporated the purple, which all of them tied into each other, all of Judgment Day throughout the night. And I thought that was very cool because they could have all done their own Mania gear. They weren't going in as Judgment Day, but they didn't. And so then we go into Rhea, who won the women's title, had one of the best women's matches I've ever seen was Charlotte Flair, which I was a little bit concerned about because the last time that they had a Mania match, although it wasn't in an empty arena, they didn't have great chemistry together. But it was empty.
Yeah, so it was empty. Also, so we were watching it on the watch along, and everyone was kind of saying like, oh, this is such a slow match. It's such a slow match. And I just said to everyone, like, no, this is a Charlotte Flair match. This is how all of her matches start. They start slow. They build. Like, she's learned from her dad's contemporaries how to put together a wrestling match. And as a result, like, it'll pick up. And then 3 minutes later, what happens? It picks up, and it definitely becomes an all-time WrestleMania Women's Championship match. This was a really good match.
It was match of the night for me. I loved it. They did great. They both looked fantastic. I know I segued into Rhea because she really did. She looked great. And I love that Rhea has really come into her own with this character. when Rhea first started, she kind of looked like Charlotte. She had the long hair, and they've got similar builds to their body. They're both more muscular, more broad shoulders and everything. Charlotte's taller than Rhea, but she has transformed into her own character, her own look. And I thought that she just looked fantastic. She looked scary. And I don't mean that as like an insult. Like, she looked like she's going to beat your ass, you know? And really, Charlotte's gear was beautiful. I loved her. You know, Charlotte's always going to have a look. Like, that's just kind of, you know, she, with her gear, with her robe, anything, she looked great too. Their gears were very indicative of who each of them are as a character too. It wasn't two people in the ring with gears that kind of looked similar. Like, they very much stayed in their own lane, and I thought that they both looked fantastic.
Yeah, and I agree. And one thing that I noticed with Charlotte's gear this time around versus in the past is that it didn't look like your typical shiny PVC gear. She was wearing something that looked a little more fabric-y with some accents, right? You can see the stonework that's on the tops and bottoms of like the bra and on the bottoms.
Yeah.
And then same with her knee pads. She's wearing the wrist cuffs that are worn with what are presumably, you know, diamonds, quote unquote. But
yeah, it looked like they made it and then they got like the overlay, like netting almost with the jewels to put on it. But yeah, hers looked beautiful, and I love that Rhea shows off her tattoos, because I think that makes her look even more like of a badass too, with all the tattoos and everything and the leather. And yeah, I thought that they both just looked fantastic.
What's so cool about Rhea Ripley's gear is that what she's wearing now comes from a giant mistake. Because I don't know if you remember this. I think you do. But she had gear made for one PLE and it didn't arrive. And so she said, I went on Amazon and I got a pair of like purple booty shorts or workout shorts, and I wrestled in those, and she hasn't looked back. And someone said something, or she heard enough pleasantries about the way that she looked in it, that she was like, let's do this. Let's commit to this. And you know what? Like you said, it looks great on her. She's obviously able to move very comfortably in that gear, and she does get to show off those tattoos, which is something that is so not only meaningful for her, but it helps her stand out as a performer as well.
Yes, absolutely. So then we go to the next member of Judgment Day, who had one of the funniest entrances I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
Dom Mysterio. Okay, now first off, let me say, I thought that was Ray. I did not realize how much they look alike. He had that mask on, and all you could see was the nose and mouth. Oh my gosh, he has Ray's nose and mouth. They zoomed in the arena, like we couldn't really see. So we're watching this and we're kind of laughing, and I'm like, oh, is Ray like making fun of him? And then I see they pan back and I see that the guy is as tall as the security guards, and I'm like, oh, that's Dom, because he looked so much like Ray. And the gear with the purple, but also being a dedication to his dad too, you know, to his dad, and match of his, you know, like, I thought he looked really good. I don't like that Dom kind of wears the Ray gear. I know like the top of his is different because Ray does, but I don't think it suits him super well. But I also don't think that he is as toned as they would want him to be to go shirtless. And I know I've said this for forever. I think if that kid would tone up his arms more, he would look like much more of a threat, which maybe is not what they're wanting right now. They're wanting him to still look like, you know, whatever. But you're teamed with Rhea Ripley. I'm pretty sure she can help you out on toning up your body. I mean, I just, like, with the tattoos and everything that he has, he just kind of looks like just an average guy out there. And I think that if he can tone himself up enough that they'll be like, okay, yeah, you're good to go without the top, I think that that will make him stand out more from his dad. But I loved his gear, and I loved Ray's gear. Ray's entrance was also fantastic with, Eddie, the Eddie tribute and everything. But he looked really good too. He had the bright colors, and he went with the brighter things. Dom was darker, and it kind of, it worked well for their characters as well.
Yeah, it told the story a lot better. And on top of that, Ray was wearing a different mask than he normally would.
Yes.
Yeah, instead of normally, he would wear a soft mask, something that kind of like conforms to his face flat. This one was a little different. It had a plastic molding. He talked about it at the press conference afterwards, where it was from, but everyone kind of looked at it and said it was Marvel-esque. But he also said it was a mix of Marvel and his tribute to Great Muta, who obviously had been inducted into the Hall of Fame the night before. So that was
along with Eddie, who was inducted into the along with Ray.
Ray, yeah, absolutely.
Ray.
So
yeah, shout out to Ray.
Yeah.
What a weekend.
Beat your son, get the opportunity of a lifetime to join the Hall of Fame. Buddy, you can't get any better than that. With Dominic's gear and just his general look. So I hear you about what you're saying, tone up and all that. Right now, you're right. He needs to just be the way he is, because he is a chicken shit all through and through. That's what he is.
Yeah.
So he's got to stick with that. But once he gets that opportunity to lean up and maybe lose that shirt type of thing that he wears, right now it's very MVP-ish, which they covered him up for the same reasons. But it works for him. Like, it doesn't look bad having him covered up the way he does. I like it. I also think it makes him look taller, which,
he's not even.
Yeah, he's not that tall, but he's also facing his dad, who's very much not that tall.
Who's very small. Yeah. So moving on from there, we're going to go to one of the funniest gears or entrance, Seth freaking Rollins.
What was that?
I loved it.
I didn't say I didn't. I'm just asking, what was that?
He is such a character. And I know there are people that don't like it. I love it. He looks like he's having so much fun, and he gets to, and I mean, that's not him. Like, you are not going to catch him in anything like that. You are going to catch him in black basketball shorts with a t-shirt and his hair in a bun all the time. So him wearing just this crazy stuff is so funny to me. I loved when Becky was doing it too, because it was like they were one-upping each other all the time. Just that coat, it was hilarious. And then when he took it off and the top, oh my gosh.
Did you
loved it.
Did you see the Instagram reel that WWE posted of when Seth was putting on the jacket in front of Becky? And so Becky reacts, she's like, I'm so jealous. Like, I'm so insanely jealous of this look. And Seth's just like, yeah, I bet you are. And it's so,
because it was amazing.
It was amazing, and it was just so heartwarming to watch them have that moment together. It was so pure. It was very funny. Go check that out. I'm sure it's somewhere on WWE's socials from a month ago.
Oh yeah, I'll find it. Moving on from Seth, we have the main eventers of night one, who I didn't expect you don't expect anything from the Usos or Roman anymore. They do what they do. That's it. I loved, and they spoke about this at the press conference, I know, Sammy and KO doing their tributes to what got them there.
Yeah. And
them first off, shout out to Kevin Owens, who got to main event a night one of WrestleMania 2 years in a row. But they're in California, which is where they were making towns in California and everything, and they did their tributes but made them their own. And I just really liked that. I thought that was a very unique thing that a lot of people don't talk about, what helped them get to WWE or wherever that they're at now. And they did it without having to be overt about it as well. And it still looked like their normal gear. They just did some small changes to it.
Yeah, I love the shout out to PWG. It's on the tights. Sammy did his in did he do it in Farsi? Did he do it in Syrian? I sorry for he may have done it in Arabic, but either way, they do the shout out to PWG, and they had the gorilla there, the pro, because it's a pro wrestling gorilla, and also you had KO with Super Dragon on his tights as well. They did cut their teeth in PWG. It was one of the places where they absolutely made their name. And the black and gold was great just to go in with the WrestleMania theme, not because of the Young Bucks. I promise it's not an AEW thing, but I understand where you come from. That being said, they look great. It was so understated and so simple. It just worked. It's all they needed it to be.
Yeah. And people caught it or they didn't. And if you didn't, that's fine. And, there's people that don't know Kevin Steen or El Generico, and so if you don't get that, that's fine. But for the people that did, I thought it was really cool. So we also had the throwback looks of Lita and Trish. I loved it. And Trish said that she went to the same person who had made her gear before and said she wanted to modernize it. They looked great. Those women, gorgeous. They are aging fantastically. Almost 50 years old, both of them, and out there just killing it. And I mean, basically on the road every week now. Like, they're kind of just doing a final run here, which we thought Trish had, a couple years ago and everything, but that was supposed to be it. But, I loved the throwbacks to their iconic looks. And Lita is just always kind of going to be like the alternative badass girl, and she looked great. I loved that they didn't think that they needed to dress like each other. Like everybody still did their own thing.
So yes, the women's tag champions, Lita at the time, Lita and Becky, they had the orange theme, orange and black, which I appreciated. I also like, by the way, with Lita's gear, the checkerboard goes from the tops to the bottoms to even to the kicks, right? She's wearing those Vans high tops, which I love. I would love a pair of those. And Becky, of course, is doing her one piece, the same that she's been wearing since she came back. And then Trish is looking a little bit different from the rest of them. Of course, that plays into where we're at now in terms of storyline. But the gear itself was the take from WrestleMania 21, which was the last time Trish wrestled at WrestleMania in LA. And then the modernization was, it was mostly just giving you your high-waisted pants. That was the big difference. But everyone looked great. I mean, I'm not going to complain. Everyone looked wonderful. Everyone did a great job with their gear on this one. Lita, it's so funny because she's wearing the onesie. Mm-hmm. Her pants, or with the pants, and like they have the orange accent as if it's a thong, and I think that's just very funny. And it's like it's a cute callback without being like weird about it.
Well, yeah, and it's like, okay, well, I'm 20 years older now, so I'm gonna dress a little bit differently than I did before, but I'm still me. And so that's like, they didn't all think, okay, we have to get matching group gear for this so that we can, like, they did their own throwbacks. Becky's color has kind of always been the orange stuff, so she did that, and then her and Lita kind of tied it in together. And I just thought that they all looked fantastic, and I loved the entrance. They kind of screwed us on the Trish entrance. Trish didn't get the pop she should have got because they didn't play the laugh on her music, and it just kind of went into hers, and everybody was like, yay.
Who is this? If I don't hear the giggle, I don't know who this is.
So it is what it is.
Exactly.
But our last person to talk about, who her entrance, I loved it. I loved it so much. And she didn't even break her wrist in the match. Chelsea Green.
Good for her.
What a look.
Yeah.
What a look.
That hat that she's been sporting, the CG hat, that's such a fire look. I love that hat. The steampunk queen type of thing. She's been wearing that kind of sash tutu since her Laurel Van Ness days.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Yeah, no,
I loved the throwback to the Laurel Van Ness stuff.
Yeah. And like she's been doing this off the shoulder look since her Impact days as well, or since her return to Impact and then subsequently back to WWE. And it looks good. Like you said, she didn't break her wrist, so big win there for Chelsea. But the match, the match was fine, but really the look was fantastic for her.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love that the tool is more of a belt than like a skirt that she has to take off or whatever. I love the way that it looks. I think it ties into her gear really well. And the purple was just beautiful. Like the shade and everything. I guess it would probably be more like a lavender, but it was beautiful. And I thought that it looked really good on her particularly. I don't know if other people would be able to pull that off, but yeah, she looked great, and she had my favorite gear in that match. So
the only other person that I'm shocked we didn't talk about, I know you know what I'm going to say. You know who it is?
Bianca.
Absolutely, Bianca Belair.
So that's funny. I had Bianca written down, and I could not get any good shots of Bianca's gear.
Really?
And I went to, it may have just been when I was looking. I went to her Instagram and she didn't have any. Also, shout out to Dakota Kai, because Bianca did not have her gear done yet for WrestleMania, and Dakota helped her finish it so that it would be done in time. Bianca had the best WrestleMania entrance. Beautiful. It was just absolutely beautiful. And her gear looked fire. Her gear always looks fire. Like she's just so creative. She does a great job making it. But yeah, basically I just couldn't find what I wanted to be able to show it in detail. And I was like, well, I guess I praise her enough that it'll be okay to not do it once. Because we know I'm always talking about Bianca and her gear, but I was a little sad we didn't get to have any New Day gear for Mania, because New Day usually does it up big. So that was disappointing.
It was, and you know what? There will be another time, I'm sure, where we'll see it, but it's okay. Well, as long as they're all healthy and healed up by next WrestleMania, we'll be in a good spot.
Yes, and that's what we're hoping for.
Yeah.
So I think that's everybody as far as WrestleMania goes, which is funny now because we're a little bit over halfway through April. We're going to be doing Double or Nothing soon.
Oh my God, that's right. Who's going to have the best gear at Double or Nothing? Who do you think is going to have the best gear at Double or Nothing?
Ooh, I don't know. I think that there is potential for a lot of people. MJF will probably come out with a look, because he usually does. Jade, if she's on the show, I'm sure Jade will do something. I hope Jamie Hayter has something really good as well.
Oh, that's a good shout. Yeah, I'd love to see that.
Back to Bianca, the star, like the Walk of Fame.
Yeah.
My favorite part of it.
Yeah.
Like that was just fantastic. She ties it into the places that she's going, and that's what I love about it. She looked great. She did the gold and the black. Yeah. And I like that it was black and gold too, because we know me with black and gold NXT, and black and gold NXT is what built Bianca Belair. Miss WrestleMania, 3 WrestleManias in a row, walked out of every one of them with a title, hasn't lost at a WrestleMania, and she's only had 3 on the main roster.
That's wild.
Like, yeah, that's when I did her for my Women's Month in March. I had the thread, and when I covered her, I was like, this is insane. Just listing her accomplishments that she's made in literally since like COVID. Like, it's nuts. She's great. I love Bianca Belair. I could literally do a show where I just talk about how much I love Bianca Belair all the time. So yeah, but I think that some of the men delivered at Mania that I weren't expecting, like Dom. And Ray's gear is usually just kind of like to me, because we've seen so many gears from Rey Mysterio. It's been 45 years of him wrestling at this point. So I'm just kind of like, oh, there he is. But some of the women that I thought I would love their gear, I didn't. And it wasn't that it was bad. It was just not something that stood out the way that I thought it would. But Bianca, of course, always stands out. She's always going to stand out. But I think, I still think Carmella had the best Hall of Fame. So
I'm not going to fight you on it. She looked great. I really do think
she really did.
Yeah. So we'll be back for nothing.
Yeah, we will be back for Double or Nothing. I don't think that we will have anything else before then. If you want to tell them where they can find you.
Yeah, I'm not hard to find. I'm at Joel Pearl, JoelParl. I host stuff all over this channel, but there are better people than me who talk. So Cher, take us home.
Yeah, you can follow me at Cher Delaware on the Twitter, and you can follow my YouTube channel, which I am editing videos for right now, which is not just wrestling, but I do have a show called Schooled where my kids teach me how little I know about wrestling, because they are very knowledgeable. And you can check me out there. It is called Hello Doll. And so you can check out Hello Doll with Cher Delaware. And it is pinned on my Twitter too, if you want to go there. But I think that's it. So we will catch everyone next time.